Okay, hello everyone. I am very excited about this episode. Personally, in the lounge today, I have one of my most favorite master texture hairstylists, Pekela Riley. Her aesthetic, her artistic aesthetic for me has always been supremely creative, incredibly edgy, and essentially elevated. I would define her work as texture-futurism, if I'm honest with you. There's just something so forward-thinking about the way that she creates shapes and movement into hair. Pekela is also an entrepreneur. You should know that. She's the founder of Salon PK, which is based in Jacksonville, Florida, where she's from and where she lives. And she's also the founder of a phenomenal natural hair extension line called True and Pure Texture. And I know that she founded True and Pure Texture purely because of the frustration of women of color damaging their own natural hair, trying to blend with the silky mainstream extensions that was prevalent in the market of those days. I'm very familiar with that. I used to wear hair that was super long and silky that didn't match mine, and trying to blend my texture with it was definitely incredibly damaging. So before I introduce PK on, lastly, I just want to say that I have really enjoyed watching her create this unapologetic love affair with textured hair, and she's doing it incredibly well. So PK, welcome to the Texture Lounge.
Hi, Tony. Thank you for having me in the Texture Lounge. I am so honored to be here with you today.
And you look amazing.
For that amazing introduction. I was just cheesing. I was like, wow, okay.
Well, it's all true. It's all true. It's easy when it's true. It's easy when it's true. So the first question that I usually always ask my guests is more of a signature question, and it's about the meaning behind your name. So I've never met a Pekela before in my life. You're the only one. I would love to know the meaning behind Pekela.
Wow. So, for years I did not know. I lost my mother fairly young before I could even think about the meaning of my name. And one day I was booking a flight and the call center was in Hawaii, and someone shared with me that my name actually is a very old Polynesian name, like Mary or Martha. So I began to look that up, and it has something to do with strength. But yeah, it is Polynesian. Not sure where my mother got that from. But I don't know another Pekela. I've yet to find another Pekela, and I've Googled that. So interesting.
I feel like you need to go ahead and trademark your name in that case.
Let's do it.
Get it done. Get it down. Okay, so tell me a little bit about Pekela's zone of genius. So I'm curious to know what you feel your zone of genius is. A lot of people are talking about that generally on social, across entrepreneurship, etc. But what is your zone of genius? What does it look like?
My zone of genius definitely is visual. Even when I can barely communicate without my hands. Pointing and things of that nature. But it certainly is, really almost like four-dimensional visualization of something. That's definitely what I pour into each situation. And that surprisingly shows up in even entrepreneurship, just sort of being able to see things in a 4D way, but certainly in the way that I produce, particularly hair artistry. And it also shows up even the quality of, the type of extensions we may want to create or carry is that type of way, but certainly the way that I can visualize and execute in a 4D way.
It was one of the things that I used to love working with you when back in the Mizani days was exactly that. I knew that if we had Pekela on board, the visual aesthetic was just going to be through the roof, because that is your zone of genius. Creating this 4D concept, we'll talk a little bit about that. I don't want to derail too much from, where we're going right now, but it's one of the things that I appreciate the most about you. So, all right. So what is it about you that makes you great at what you do?
Wow. What makes me great at what I do is just that I truly love it. I have been so very fortunate enough to align very early with a way to sort of take care of myself, or even prosper with doing what I love. So creating in hair was something I truly, truly enjoy. And just being able to just almost like just explore the layers. I am an explorer. I don't know if I'm mastering hair. I explore hair. I'm not necessarily a master. I'm an explorer of this thing that I love so much. And it just keeps giving and giving. Every layer of it just keeps giving something. So I feel like I'm a master explorer because I've done so many things.
I love that. I love that. So in this moment right now, you and I talking kind of face-to-face-ish, visually or virtually, I should say, what is the one word that describes how you're feeling right now?
How I'm feeling right now?
Yeah, one word.
Worthy.
Okay.
Worthy.
Okay. Why do you say that?
I say that because I have been currently, like in the last few years, just in this constant state, what I feel is called unlearning, which I think is the highest form of evolution or learning. All these things that, are we of value, what our worth is, are we successful, the fleeting highs of accomplishment and then needing to chase the next thing, but allowing myself to be in this moment of just not of uber rigor and still feeling worthy, worthy of a good life and understanding. I think when you feel worthy, you can look around and you can see the good in your life. So that's where I'm at right now. I feel worthy. I feel worthy of all the good that I have and all the good that will be.
I love it. So good. All right. So let's play a little bit into your personality here. Would you describe yourself more as an introvert or extrovert? And how does that play in how you create?
How it definitely plays in how I create. I am an introvert. I'm very much an introvert. And if you know me, you know that is the case. But I show up for people that I love, situations that I love. It's like I'm inspired to show up, but I'm truly an introvert. How that shows up, it means that when you see me doing something, I really want to do it. I think that is just the truth. And, there are times, of course, we do what we have to do. We do a lot of what we have to do. But If you see me sort of consistently on a roll with something, I'm truly aligned with it. And I feel very fortunate just to even be able to make those type of choices, to be aligned with what I do consistently, because I am a person that I can just float away into the woods or be at the beach, and I don't have to be on IG, and I don't have to do these things. And I like to just do like really low key things. Yeah.
I'm realizing that, me being an introvert myself, I'm slowly realizing that most of the people that I've had on this podcast are also introverts. I think I naturally gravitate towards introverts because and it makes sense, right? Like, people who are introverts typically don't want to constantly be around, high energy, like it's draining. So being with people, honestly, like if you see me in those scenarios, it's because I have to be that. It's because I typically have to be that, or I really, like you say, really want to be that. It's never a, let me just go explore and see what this thing. No, I either have to be there or I genuinely want to be that. There's none of that. So I'm just realizing that I'm clearly drawn to like-minded people in that sense. And I figured you were going to say introvert for that reason. Okay. So what are you reading? Are you reading anything interesting right now?
Right now I'm listening to the teachings of Abraham Hicks, which is kind of, a lot of the inspiration behind the law of attraction and the secret. That's what I'm currently listening to. And yeah, it just kind of keeps changing. I think it's another one I started listening to this morning was Alan Watts. You're It. So
Oh,
yeah, but I am. I because I walk so much and I'm outside so much. I'm actually listening to a ton of books at the
got it.
moment. Yeah, but those
Got
are the
it.
two that I'm knee deep in, and I think that I found them because I wanted to find them. That was like I wanted to hear what they're aligned with almost what I wanted to hear. I'm
Got
only
it.
seeking out what I want to hear.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So you look amazing. I mean, I'm looking at you right now, the earrings to the hair, to the
Thank
shape, to the
you.
colors, to the everything, the fabrics. Like I'm totally feeling Pekela energy right now. Tell us about your personal fashion and beauty style.
Oh wow. I think it's pretty simple. I am a repeater, a repeater, a repeater. I love neutrals. I do
Yes.
love color, but
Yes.
they're typically pastel. And I'm actually playing with the little expression of this orange. That energy has spoken to me. And if you kind of look on my IG feed, I've just been drawn to it. It shows up. So I get
Mm-hmm.
in that space, but I'm pretty simple in the sense that most of the things that I wear, I have for years. People will say, "Oh, I love that." And I'm like, "It's 11 years old," or "Yes, I'm old enough to have things like 11 years old, 5 years old, or 8 years
Yeah.
old," because
Yeah.
that's typically how I shop. They're really classic pieces that I just interchange, and I wear sort of over and over, if I can say that. I'm just kind of over
Mm-hmm.
it. Like, yeah, I
Ugh.
know IG is all about the outfit of the day, but I typically have like outfits for years. And that's where I kind of feel like I don't completely fit in on our fashion and beauty scene because I don't I'm not like on the super edge of fashion because I
Mm-hmm.
can be so very practical in that way. But it's it's simple and I feel like it's uncomplicated because if I feel like if it's too much of a fuss, I'm gonna feel really like self-conscious or I can feel a
Yeah.
little insecure in that. So I just kind of keep
Yeah.
it simple.
But what about the hair though? Because, it's never, that's not simple. Like
But this
you
isn't simple,
are,
but in my own way, it is. It's like if you give it a shape and
mm,
you give it a fluff, that's enough. Like
that's
then you
it.
don't need a
Okay.
twist, and then you don't need a gold thing, and then you don't need a bang, right?
Yeah.
So here is where I think my eccentric expression will come out most.
Um,
And it is like this was actually like something that was really really curly, but I'm like let's brush it out, right?
mm,
This is where I will play or feel like it is my hair fashion. Years ago, that was my Instagram name was hair fashion.
aha. Okay.
I was like, well, I'll always be Pekela, so let me change my IG to that. But I think this is where I express uh, a degree of fashion, and also where I almost can envision what the hair will pair well with, even outside of myself. Like, let the hair do a little bit more, and then, my sort of pared down wardrobe can do a little bit less. And then there's balance. So I'm seeking balance with
Yeah.
what the hair is doing with, what the clothes are doing.
I love that. Okay, so just going back into time, coming up as a young Pekela, can you tell us about one insecurity that you had growing up and how you overcame it, if you have?
Wow, I was growing up in the South. There were I should I name 10, but I'll just name one. Like, was my lips. Like, growing up, like, having
Mm.
full lips was just like, we were all,
Really?
everything up
In the
until
South?
recently. Yes,
In the
everything
South?
up until recently was like, anti-blackness. Everything was anti-blackness. So, I mean, I have these very full lips. And I literally feel like I've had this same lip size since I was probably in the seventh grade. I feel like I've always had like the same size hips. and I've had the same size lips, and all these things that just sort of mature very quickly, and then it kind of stopped, right? But yeah, I used to actually kind of like shrink myself by shrinking my lips, like, and now I don't do that. So I've just learned to appreciate my features and their uniqueness. I always used to feel a way about my features, literally the things that I like the chinginess of my eyes, the fullness of my lips, these super high cheeks. I used to desire that they were different because they are so very Afrocentric. And we have spent all of our life, we spent our entire lives in anti-Blackness, in the sea, the abyss of anti-Blackness.
Yeah.
And we're just now almost feeling the sun on our face. It's like we were in an abyss of hate, and like we're just now feeling the sun on our face. So yeah, a lot of
I love that expression. I love that expression.
That I just, I wanted to be lighter. I wanted to have thinner lips and whatever it was that was anti-Blackness, until you just grow up and you work really hard to love yourself. Yeah, you gotta love we had to love ourselves before this world did, and now we're like the it thing, the thing.
Yeah, the thing that everybody wants a piece of.
I literally have a little resentment for that, because we were just sort of trolled for our literally.
Oh my gosh. Completely. I mean, did you not just see like last week, when was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, when Hailey Bieber put out that TikTok reel of her doing the brownie what was it? The brownie glazed lip
or something. I saw that.
Yeah. I was like, and by the way, I'm wearing that right now, but let me tell you, I was wearing this back in the 90s myself before Hailey Bieber came around. If not the 80s.
And I'm a woman of a certain age, so, and then my aunts, I'm just like, no. And then like the lipstick on the cheeks and so much. And so we, not to go to an angry place, we have inspired so much. We have inspired so much, and we don't get the credit, but I do still create this parallel to almost like the sun is on our face now. We were literally like buried, like with the hate, the deeply seated anti-Blackness. And even right now in its topical interpolation, it's very topical still. It is still the beginning. We are starting to feel that warmth on our face, that love and that acceptance for who we are. At least with our physical features. Right.
No, I think you're so right about that. And I love this expression, the sun is finally on our faces. Like, I'm definitely gonna hold on to that.
Yeah, I feel teary because I'm just keeping it real. Like, I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody that had like the best, mentor or maternal figures that maybe coach them through that. I did not have that. I didn't necessarily have like strong maternal figures in my life growing up. So I dealt with it real and raw, and all that insecurity and that shrinking that came with that. I did all of that. I experienced all of that. So I think that I went through a period where when I started to feel cute, I started to act real cute. I was like, then I realized I needed to calm down a little bit, right? Because it's like, you need to come back to the middle. But that was my God. I had just felt like non-pretty just growing up.
Yeah. And I think a lot of Black women have felt that way. And, I actually this week just finished reading for the first time, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. And actually the main character is called Pekela. And she, went through that basically her whole life just feeling like less than and ugly. And she asked for blue eyes because she felt like blue eyes and blonde hair and all of that equated to beauty. And that's what she wanted. And that's what she saw was beauty. So, that's a book that goes way back when. I'm sure many people have read it and read it over and over again. It was my first time, but, sitting here in 2022, reading that and hearing what you're saying, it's a cycle. It's a cycle that a lot of us we've gone through that, and I think it's really now in our hands to pass on the torch and to, raise our kids to let them feel that sun on their face every day.
Every day. I was, as you were just sharing, I was just like, and just speaking about where we are now, we are breaking down that door, and we sort of crack that beam, and we're letting the light come in. And I was just like, imagine being born today with this love and these sisters, this community.
It's different.
My God.
It's different. It's so different.
Yes.
I can't even imagine. It's just so different.
Yes, the sister girl meetups and all, like, just imagine being born in this time. So this is the work. This is why the work needed to be done, and that's why we do it.
So when did your love affair with hair begin?
Wow. I like many things that you can be contrary, but my love affair with hair began a long time ago. My mother and my aunts, they were very talented women around hair. And so I always saw like braids and just various things, and I wouldn't actually touch it. I just didn't. They were so wickedly gifted that it made me almost intimidated, I think, for years to even touch hair. I literally went to nursing school before I went to hair school. And even when I went to hair school, my aunts, they were like, what are you doing? Like, you're not, like, nobody even thought I would just really do it, because I was so slow to gravitate to it. It really sort of hit me late. But I always had that appreciation to the artistry, and I always would see like the veins in like their fingers when they would braid. Or my mom, my mom was a barber, actually.
Okay.
She would also pick up work as an artist. She could paint. She might get hired by a local daycare to paint, the Disney characters on the walls and things of that nature. So I've always had appreciation for artistry, symmetry, balance, things of that nature. It was always there, but it did sort of manifest. I sort of developed it relatively late, comparably from a lot of my peers.
Okay, so talk to us about that. Like, when did you realize that your career was going to be in hair? Because obviously you went to nursing school thinking that you were going to go down that direction.
Life calls you to where you're supposed to be.
It does.
So the job that I could find was the secretary for the cosmetology department at Florida State College.
Really? So that's how it started? Well,
that's how it
do you think
started.
That's where it started?
Like, literally seeing everything that I saw within my, even from in my family, I appreciated it, but I didn't feel that I was good enough to do it. And so it was in that job, which I was a horrible secretary. I was horrible. But she loved me. She kind of liked me, and I liked her. We just had this thing. Like, I love my boss, and she loved me. And a couple times she would find me on the floor. I was like, because I had seen so much with hair, I sort of knew, like, well, maybe if you put her bangs this way, they would like do it. And so she would catch me out on the student floor a lot. And one day she came over to me. She said, you are a stylist, and I just have no idea why you struggle with it. So she was like, you can sign up for cosmetology, or I'll fire you. I was like, what?
That's a way to do it.
She's like, you can sign up for cosmetology, or I can fire you.
That is hilarious.
So I remember, telling my mom and my aunts, and it was like, it took her to tell you that. And I was like, it was just everything that everybody said. It wasn't just that she had this playing voice, but it was a culmination of so many nudges, and I was right there making a point of, I was making a difference with the cosmetology students with what I saw, what I could envision for the people that were coming in there. And they looked to me, and I wasn't even in the program. And so I literally went from one, one semester I was college credit, and the next semester I was vocational cosmetology.
Okay.
I challenged the board in 9 months, and I've never looked back.
Nice. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay. So now I have a picture of how it started, and you were essentially a secretary at cosmetology school back in Florida. And I never knew that. I'm glad I asked you that question. I love that. Okay, so your signature look. I want to talk about your signature looks because, like I said in the intro, texture-futurism. I was trying to find a way to describe, like, what would be the word that I would use to describe PK's aesthetic. I honestly think that texture-futurism was the word that came to my head, and that's really because I feel like you take styling to a place that no one has really gone before. You celebrate the kink in our hair. Your looks are so texture forward. You give us looks that we can be proud of and that we can aspire, that we want to aspire to have. You always get the assignment every single time. So when it's time for you to create one of your signature iconic looks, I don't know, for a major beauty moment, for a brand, an event, a campaign, what sparks your creativity process?
The person, the model, the subject.
Okay.
I can go in with an objective, the skew in mind, the artboard, the storyboards in which we've created. And they do serve as a guide. Even as an artist, you should have a guide. It's also like, you want to color in the line. So the guide is always in mind. However, that color palette or some nuance to it may change, and that is purely inspired by the person, the human, that makes me change it. I always change what I thought it could be. And so I think that when we create our best art, it is being malleable. It is being open. You can't just lock into what you thought it was going to be, because if you do that, you've eliminated the humanity from the art, the human being, the person that you're touching from it. So that always shows up in the work. Those are the little nuances to it. And also, too, in addition to seeing who that person is in the moment, in an alter universe where texture is the apex and the sun is fully on our face, who would she be? That's who I'm.
It's like a whiteboard. It's a complete whiteboard moment for you.
In the parallel universe of textures, the apex of all things, the sun is fully on our face. Who would she be?
Yeah. And that's why I say texture futurism, because it's like, it's not the past, it's not the present. Maybe it's a mix of both, or maybe it's going down a road that no one's really traversed before, because now you're not locking yourself into any one mindset or any one goal that somebody in a boardroom has, put together. You've kind of got this whiteboard, this canvas, and you are creating as your heart tells you to. Something like that.
And as an artist, we find ourselves in that situation where there's what you need, what the objectives are, but I think we owe the situation. We give it its highest good by bringing that. That is our magic, our mojo.
Yeah.
That's what makes it special. And you can always tell when you have been given that grace and space to bring the best to that situation. And you also can witness when they kind of pretty much just locked in on the bullet points it reads that way.
It does. So you're a hair artist, right? A hair artist who has an incredible high elevated aesthetic and is known for that. And you've launched businesses too, right? So what did you learn in that process from being a creator to being a business owner?
Wow, yeah, there are things that definitely overlap, and there are things that totally are different. But being a creative and then an entrepreneur, they overlap in that you always have to be creative as an entrepreneur. Like you literally have to figure things out, and that's very similar to hair. There's sometimes things are falling. You're trying to make it stand up high, and you have I didn't know how to make this puff. Like, you go into it not knowing how to make the puff sit a certain way, but you're doing the pins, and you're like, yeah, and that's that. And you're doing that also with entrepreneurship. You are putting your best foot forward, and you're constantly readjusting to things are in balance. And that's very parallel to the art in which you create. So I find that same memory muscle shows up in, my businesses, and also not allowing the period of adjustment to not feel like a failure. It's just so like a style change,
Yeah. I like that.
Damage is just a style change.
Did you guys hear how Pekela literally compared and linked the shifts in entrepreneurship to wearing different hairstyles? I love that. As long as there's no chemical damage.
If you think about even True and Pure Texture, my first colors were like this kind of teal and this sort of vibrant fuchsia color. Because that was it was very like an emotional streak, right? But it wasn't really grounded in the consistent path of my vision. So sometimes we have these streaks of things. We have these, and then you're like, wait a minute, that's not consistently who I am, right?
Yeah.
And so even in that, even branding, they are like hairstyle changes, and we shouldn't be afraid to do them. I mean, Netflix has had 17 logos.
It's so real, and branding is one of my, as you know, branding is one of my favorite things in the world to do. It's what I've done professionally. It's I live for, building a brand and logos and color palettes and tone of voice and all that good stuff. But you're so right. I think as a business owner, as someone who's building a brand, those elements can be the thing that hold us back from actually moving the business forward. It's like, I haven't figured out my color palette yet. I don't know if it's baby blue or ice blue or navy blue. I don't want to put the content out because I don't have the color palette sealed down, or the logo isn't quite right. I don't feel connected to it. And I'm definitely a victim of that. I have changed the Texture Lounge logo a bunch of different times. I've changed my color palette a bunch of different times. And I've just gotten to the point where it's well, what are you going to do? Are you not going to put out any content? Are you not going to do an episode with somebody because you don't think the logo's right? You can change those things. No one knows me right now. I have, I'm still growing, I'm emerging, and I'm using this as a moment to style shift, as you say, right?
Yeah,
it's just a hairstyle moment.
The style shift. And so it doesn't, I say that, it doesn't mean that it doesn't feel fearful sometimes, or you don't get into the weeds of analyzing. I can tell you that even with a style, life, everything, we suffer the most from analysis paralysis. That can really just lock in.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been frozen. I've been having shallow breath and probably not eating for a day or two just on the noodling of a decision. And it can get there, and that's where we just have to go. Even if you're making a call and it wasn't the best one, you're still moving. You're still moving. And sometimes it just is that. It just
totally.
Is that. So we are now at True and Pure. I think about we're on logo 3. And
Okay.
people were like, are you going to make an announcement and explain why you changed the logo? I never did. I just kept
Kept
getting
kept
clearer
it
and clearer.
moving.
And it's about the clarity. It's like as
Yeah.
you walk on a path, it gets clearer and clearer. So it's not that you are being fickle or indecisive, and that's what we fear. But you're
Mm,
walking. It's just a path. And as you can continue to go on it, it just sort of gets clearer.
yeah.
And that's
I
where
mean,
the interpolation and the reiteration of what this thing is that you saw fit to bring forth, it starts to take shape. And that's what happens with a hairstyle. And I used to say this in my chair all the time. Don't worry, it's always ugly before it's pretty. Every
mm,
hairstyle, every set of braids, every this, like
yes.
just
Yes.
everything is ugly
So,
before it's
so
pretty.
can I just say, taking a second, I love that you as a stylist, a hairstylist, you say that because a lot of us as clients feel that way when we're in the chair. I'm going to speak for myself. I'm going to speak for myself. Whenever I sit in the chair and I leave and I have my hair done and I leave the salon, I never love it. I don't think there's really ever one time where I've walked out of the salon saying this is perfect. I always
Mm-hmm.
love it like the week after. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't like pieces of hair being perfectly in place,
Yes.
neat, tidy rows of hair. Like I like a little like it needs to be out
Mm-hmm.
of place. I like a little fluff. I like a little frizz. So, but for you as a stylist to say that, I
Listen,
absolutely love it.
so much of like people, I realize one of the things, and I mean, I'm gonna just pat myself on the back with that. I just had the most amazing clientele. I just did the thing behind my chair, and it was so much of it was in the experience, and that experience was grounding expectations. So, was every single head of hair this magical, whimsical thing? No, but there was an appreciation, a loving or liking because they were really grounded in expectation. And hair can be very, very almost too adventurous. Like you just don't know where you'll end. So as much as you can
Yeah.
tell a person about it, they feel safe, and that's what ultimately we just go through life. We want to feel safe in everything, even our hair. So when you tell somebody,
Yeah.
I know, let me tell you this. I'm going to turn you this way, but as I'm doing this, trust me, it's going to look ugly. It's going to look ugly for a while. But just hold on with me. They're like, oh my God, did you say that? I'm like, yeah, it's going to look ugly for a minute. And they're like,
Um,
what? And so then at the end, it's kind of like, because they're seeing like, is that piece going to stay there? Is this piece going to
mhm,
stick out right there? No, I really don't do
mhm.
my edges like that, but it becomes this dialogue and this dance of all these really not so flattering moments until you end with this agreeable thing that continues to bloom and becomes frothy to this very lovable thing.
Mm. Ah, I just love it. I may actually end up changing the name of this episode to exactly that. It's gonna start ugly
It starts
before it looks
ugly.
pretty. Yep. I love that. It's
It
gonna be
does.
that. So mentorship, did that ever play a role when you were either, when you moved to the world of entrepreneurship? Let's talk about that time in your life. Starting a business, launching a salon, launching true and pure texture. Was that ever was mentorship ever a thing for you?
And not in the way that I wanted it to be, but I know
Okay.
that I needed it. And so two things. I always want a mentor? I think unofficially, and then at some point officially. I think when I got strong enough to like verbalize I wanted a mentor, I think people felt like I was too big and old for a mentor. But I never had an official mentor, but I would just find people that inspired me in a way. And even if it was from afar, that their actions sort of mentored me in a way.
Yeah.
So it was always I wanted it so I could extract it from anything. I wanted
Mm,
mentorship and I wanted to be learning and I wanted to be inspired. I truly wanted that. So if a person had just any elements of it, I could extract that from them and leave everything
mm.
else. I could
Okay.
extract
So
like the best of it.
I resonate with that. And I think maybe it's something to do with us being introverts. We're not really great at asking for what we want for fear of rejection or whatnot. So I know that I've definitely had mentors in my head, right? They don't know that they're my mentor, but
Mm-hmm.
especially with social media, right? There are people that, that I follow that share amazing advice that definitely spurs me on. Like, do you have mentors in your head? And can you tell us who they are?
Wow. Tumi, I met you and you became one instantly.
What?
Yes. Yes. Because
You
I'm
don't
like,
need to say that because you're on this podcast.
no, I'm not saying that just because I think you got to know me at this point. I won't just say that.
I
Now,
know.
that's the thing. I'm an introvert, but I'm also,
You're real. You're
I said
real.
it, I said it.
Yeah.
If I said
Oh,
it,
I
I said it.
appreciate that, PK. That's so sweet.
No, goodness. Yeah, even my lead from afar. We did projects together, or Tania Golston, from
Mm,
Revlon. People that have
okay.
kind of brought me on to teams to do certain things. I just sort of really just appreciated the way that they moved in a way.
Yeah.
Um, my first boss, who was very gracious enough to just kind of speak truth into me and kind of gave me a spark to do what I ultimately end up loving the most.
Mm,
She was the person that just kind of brought that type of energy to everybody, kind of, gave them this pep talk. I find myself that I can feel even low, I'll give somebody this pep talk. They're just pieces. They're just sort of jewels. There's a diamond, there's an emery, there's a ruby,
mm,
there's some platinum, there's some pieces of all these gems and jewels that I've sort of borrowed from a lot of women in my life that I just sort of hold on to that.
so
But
I want to talk a
yeah,
little.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
Anybody want to mentor me? I'm still open. I've never been brave enough in my life to ask for that, but
Mm.
we can start now.
It's never too late. It's never
It's
too
never
late,
too
especially
late.
if you want it. Especially if
So
you
in
want
so
it.
many ways, I feel like I've been grown all my life, but I also feel so very young in so many things that really involved, courage and confidence and allowing myself to still feel worthy while being vulnerable. Because those two things, when I came up, and especially the way that I came up, vulnerability and worth, those things they could not coexist. It was an or, not
Mm.
an and.
Sure. Sure. Okay, so I want to talk about true and pure texture because I'm obsessed personally. I For those of you that see me wearing that beautiful unit, I mean, I have a few, I have a few, and they're all true and pure
And
texture.
you wear it well.
I, well, thank you, but it's because you produced a product that is so authentic and is beautiful. It's just beautiful. The density, the natural color, the lightweightness of it, the flexibility, and it's in terms of the styles you can create with it is absolutely amazing. So just know, guys, whenever I'm rocking that unit or a unit, my hair doesn't look like this and it's long and flowy or it's textured and it's big and whatnot. It's true and pure texture I'm using. And I didn't say it at the beginning of this episode, but Pekela has very, very, very kindly and graciously giving you guys a discount. So you can go and shop True and Pure Texture yourself. The discount code is hashtag Texture Lounge 10. So you get 10% off. So thank you, PK, for that. But tell us about why you birthed True and Pure Texture.
Well, True and Pure Texture really began with my really just problem solving in my chair. So we're going to talk about the love. I've always loved what our hair could do, but just being that ally and that problem solver for my customers in my chair. And I began to sort of even experiment with textures. I would like rod hair in a microwave and create little zigzag textures and use it for my client if they had a wedding or something like that to match their texture hair, as I encourage a lot of my clients to go natural. And so I just felt that, as I looked out into the marketplace, the texture truly is the apex. It's 70% of the population. It truly is the apex, and yet it's so underrepresented in our options for extensions. And all that was existed, especially in main beauty, were straight extensions or plastic. As when you got to texture, it was either synthetic or chemical-on or plastic, and so that really sort of just, really inspired me to create more of who we are. I knew that we love. I feel like deep down, as we began to sort of feel the sun on our face, that that extension of our skin, that extension of our essence was our hair. And how might we expound on that and what those textures are, So that really became my motivation, was like, I'm creating these textures because we want more of it, because guess what? All along we were enough. We were enough.
Yeah.
We want more of who we are. And that's just so wild to me, because when I grew up, we wanted to have anything but what our texture was. And now to even have a demand for more of what we are, it's just where I want it to be. That's just where I want it to be. Like, we want more of who we are.
That's so beautiful. I honestly, because of what we were talking about before, right? About us as Black women trying to shrink away from who we are and what we were born with, to now being in a place where we want more of that. We want to show more
we're
of
like,
that.
oh,
We want to have more of that.
Just imagine, we're in a place where like it's too silky.
Yeah.
I feel like the
a bit of that,
right?
That's so good. It's too silky. That is too damn good.
It's too shiny.
Yes.
It's
yes. Like no thanks.
It's so shiny, it's cheap. Like, we want more of who we are.
Yes.
No, it just doesn't. Look how those tables turn.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And I always wanted it to turn, and I knew it would. I knew it would, because the work that sisters have been putting in over the last few decades, I'm like, this thing, we are really, really seeing who we are.
But do you realize that you've played a big role in that? Like in launching Trim Pure Texture, do you realize that you've put a product out there that allows us to reach for something that makes us appreciate and want more of who we are? Do you know that?
Humbly, yes, I do. I feel very connected to what has happened around texture, texture, just even on real hair, just textured hair styling, the craft of it, the beauty of our coils, and to this expansion of that conversation and that expansion of that expression with hair extensions. But it really began with the appreciation and just really centering who we are. That's always been my love. And so just to, like, I don't know, we're going to fall so in love with ourselves, and we're just going to only want more of ourselves. It's going to have to be of us, not, for us, by us, but for us, of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
of
that.
us.
I like that.
Yeah, I started with the first, the first natural hair influencers, your natural Nieces and your Miss Fons and your Curly Nickies. I was a stylist on those shoots when the early naturals started to, do things. And I knew we had passed a threshold of love that it could never turn back. It will never turn back.
No, I believe you. And
I know I went away from true and pure texture, but it just began with like just like a tickle in my soul, like a deep belly laugh of, oh my goodness, we're gonna fall so far in love with ourselves, and that's what true and pure texture is about. Like, we're gonna fall so much in love with ourselves that even when we choose to express ourselves differently, even when we choose to extend, and all these are expressions of who we are, we're going to be like, well, does it match my hair?
Right.
Is it like me? Is it of me?
Right.
That will be,
Exactly.
we are truly the apex. And so it's rightful that we are the standard. So True and Pure Texture really resonates with that value. Like, no, Black women's everything. Skin, lips, eyes, and hair. It is the standard. So the standard for this hair is that it matches our hair.
Hours.
Unapologetically.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I love about it. But what would you say? I mean, there are lots of different hair extension brands out there. Obviously, we know the reasons why we love True and Pure Texture, but I'm curious to know what makes the quality of True and Pure Texture so special.
It is certainly sourcing.
Okay.
And my experience as a hairstylist. So, as it comes to the micro texture of things, really those just sort of not intangible, they are tangible things, but really knowing hair in its deepest nuances, I'm able to interject that into the brand and really, really nail a hair texture. As it relates to when it comes to our hair and the quality of, versus say another brand, it truly goes down to sourcing. How long will you have this piece? How long will this be of value and serve you? And that comes to the quality of the sourcing. Is this single donor or multiple donor? Is this high? Is this collected in an ethical way, or is this floor hair? These are the things that we bring to the best to our customers and to our community, which women of color deserve. We've always deserved these premium products. And so that's where I began, was really with the highest level of sourcing, ethical sourcing. It's honestly the point of difference from strand to strand.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like there are loads of us out there that want to dip into the world of hair extensions, but they're concerned about where the hair came from. Like, what does ethical sourcing look like for you and for True and Pure Texture?
Yeah, so you have ethical sourcing. I really don't want to call out particular regions because these can happen in certain cases. But so, for example, a high quality hair or raw quality hair would be collected from one donor. And the cuticles would be aligned in a certain way. So you have to understand that in order to make a certain hair products from one donor, it's more expensive. However, the cuticles of that hair is aligned, all the layers of that hair shaft is in place. And so you have you're able to create a hair weft or a bundle of hair or a wig that will last very, very long time because that hair is from a single donor and the cuticle.
Got it.
Now, what is a cheaper grade of hair is say that there is a collection point of hair and some hair has fallen in a certain way, and maybe somebody else's hair has fallen in a certain way. Now, all of those things can be gathered and salvaged, and they can actually make a weft that looks identical to a single donor weft. However, it's going to perform quite differently because when we think about the manageability of hair, that cuticle alignment is so very important in the way that it's collected. Because if that cuticle is upside down, guess what's going to happen? You're going to, this part is going to be doing this part is going to be doing that. There's really not consistency in the quality or the flow of the hair. And oftentimes it may be collected from people who have maybe had prior color and then dyed the hair. It could be collected from people who have had all types of things done to the hair and then they dye it to make it look as if it's virgin hair. So the sourcing, making sure that these are virgin hair donors, single to double drawn donors at the least. Is what determines high quality raw hair, and that price point, even in manufacturing, changes significantly in how that hair is collected and the carefulness in which that hair is collected.
Super. Thank you for taking us through that because that's a question that I've always had, and now I totally get it. Like I remember back in the day when I used to buy certain types of hair extensions, and I would wand one section and do the same thing to another section, and it behaves completely different. One lasts longer, one side lasts longer, the other side doesn't, collapses easier. Now I have a good frame of reference as to why that actually happens. So that's really great to know.
Yes, and so a lot of it has to do with the process in which it's collected. Trust me, when we see much cheaper hair and things of that nature, when you really know this industry, you know that it's for hair. It's like literally like the hair that's on the floor can be gathered to make hair products. So even in high quality collection, there is still waste. And in this, in the hair industry, unfortunately, nothing ever is really wasted. It all becomes something. And that begins to really be your points of differentiation of quality of hair. And that begins from who are the donors and how it's collected and how it's processed after that. And to have it done right, it's with a lot of intention and cost.
I bet. And good quality hair costs money.
To
I'm sure.
Figure that out.
I'm sure. So are your units, the wigs that you sell, for example, are you saying that they are typically from one donor? Like what is it? It is. Okay.
Typically most hair products outside of a wig would be a single donor. Most wigs, because of the amount of hair, our wigs, as you shared, they're very full. So we typically have double drawn, meaning that they're two donors to make the unit.
Okay.
However, the collection is so very careful that it's put in, the two donors would be put in a section and the cuticles would be aligned. So making sure that the cuticle alignment from the way in which it was cut from the hair is the way in which it is created, the wig is created. That's very, very important.
I see.
And so every now and then you're like, well, how do you get a bad bundle? How do you get something sometimes? Every now and then, that hair can be put upside down.
Got it.
And that's going to change your performance totally. Or if that person, had, hair color prior, or it's not, they had to dye it or something like that. All these things are going to really affect the quality. So most wigs, especially full volume wigs, typically require
like two donors. Got it. Okay. Yeah. So it's still very much taboo and uncomfortable for, lots of us women of color to wear wigs or to wear extensions. I just had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine who wants to explore, but doesn't quite know how to address the comments that will come from her family, for example. What are your thoughts on this, and how do we get over all of this?
Well, I like to think of it how we wear makeup, we wear mascara. I mean, we think about, honestly, our first extensions of hair, it didn't even begin with our hair. It began with, being 15, putting on mascara, lengthening the lash, right? So it really just falls into we have to try to get people to sort of explain it to their loved one or someone who may say, well, what is this about? Is this not being of yourself? But more or less that it's an expression. It's a alternate expression or a varied expression of who you are. I really feel like we have so many variations to who we are as individuals. And so that's what hair allows us to do. It allows, I was at the game the other day with my husband and I blew my hair out. I had a ponytail. I put 2 clip-ins and it was game day, Keela.
Yeah.
And today it's, I like this wedge. I'm feeling colorful with this sort of,
I love it.
Art Deco thing, and the hair is just that expression, but I still feel like myself, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what extensions allows us to do. And it also allows us as women of color. One of the things that I learned as a stylist, not only was extensions a part of our expression of our beauty and how we could wear our hair, it is sometimes integral to our hair care that we need those periods of rest. So I'll just be transparent. Part of the reason I didn't wear my ponytail that I love like 2 days ago is that I am a woman of a certain age, and I got up and walked this morning, and that ponytail, I am a natural girl. That was like I needed to blow dry the whole thing over and all of this to kind of get my sleek pony again. And so this particular option allowed me to just like put product on my edges and kind of tuck away and sort of blend and protect my hair in this moment. Because for many of us, high manipulation styling on a daily basis is not only can be damaging to our hair, oftentimes it's not conducive to the schedules in which we have to fulfill. So we just need those options. We just need those options. And I think that that taboo around hair extensions is falling away because we see we're in that era of self-expression and gender fluidity and so many other things that really there is, we're just starting to shed those taboos and how we express our human experience.
I think a lot of that, again, I resonate with really strongly. I mean, I am someone who is starting to wear extensions more and more now. I used to coming up, and then I took a break and went natural, as most people know me. And then in more recent years, I discovered true and pure texture genuinely, and realized, like, just completely fell in love with the quality of the hair and the versatility that it brings to my styling days. So for me, I use it in a couple of different, I wear my, wig unit when I feel like I need a break, right? Like when I'm traveling and I can't be bothered to, take down my flat twists, or I don't want my natural hair to rub up against the, the seat on the plane. I just put my unit on. It makes me look fly as heck. It is also very easy in terms of maintaining my hair underneath it. But then also for those evenings or those night outs, or even for these podcasts, sometimes it's like, okay, this is an extension of my look. Like I'm going to be seen on this screen. This is all they're going to see of me. You're not really going to see my outfit. Like what can I bring to the screen that shows that I'm switching my style up today? And it could be a unit. So I think that for me, it's super clear. I feel good about when I wear them. I think that the conversations that I hear a lot about with my girlfriends is the men. It's the men, and like, man, their preconception of what, a wig is and why are you wearing hair that isn't yours. So I think there's education that needs to happen on that side. But I don't think it's a reason for us to not explore our style versatility. I think it's a really interesting conversation to have.
Yeah, I can't lie, and I love, that's why I kind of love pieces that I can interchange, that I'm not really fixated. I know a lot of people get sew-ins and things of that nature, but I typically migrate to styles that I can take on and off, right? Because I like access to my hair. I like access to my real hair to not only take care of it, but to watch TV and my husband is digging his hands in it, right?
Exactly.
So that still exists. But, I must say I've been with someone who is definitely used to all sorts of things with my hair. I met my husband. I shared it a while ago on my Instagram. I actually had my hair was shaved at the time. So yeah,
I missed that.
I literally had the zero cut. I had the
what?
Cut.
Oh my gosh, PK, I missed that. I missed that post. I'm gonna have to scroll through.
I shall send it to you. I will send it to you. So, and I wear my hair like that for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he kind of was new. He was on a ride with me from day one. Because then one day after like a year and a half, maybe 18 months, I just came downstairs like with like probably a bang wig or something. And he was just kind of like, okay. And it's been that
like,
way.
this is what it's going to be. I love it. I love it. Okay. Before we talk about your piece, because I know that that's something that you are really protective about. I am too. So I love to talk to my guests about that. I do want to know what your most satisfying career moment is so far.
Wow. It involved you, Tumi. I was very honored to the Mazzani collections were definitely very meaningful to me, as they definitely centered women of color and have always stood in the vein of texture excellence. So to be aligned with that brand in such a pivotal moment of where we what was happening in the beauty industry with a brand that had really aligned with the values so long, you just couldn't help feel like you were on the right side of history in this very special moment, because it wasn't with sort of like the here we are now. It was for the tried and true, but it was the moment, and like I was there for that. I was there for these few years of these are the people, and this is the moment. I can't. I could never forget it.
Again, I love that you said that. And again, I hope you didn't say it because, it's mean. I know that you didn't because of that, but that to date is actually my most significant and my most favorite moment in my career in the hair industry, in the beauty industry, is that shoot. That campaign for me was a moment. And typically brands like shoot every year because they're looking for the next thing. Like, we didn't have to do that.
No,
because we were like, there's so much life and so much, there's still so much to go.
It's like, how is
these images?
How is it classic and how is it new? And we were able to do that. I feel that the sort of building to that was really, my time with Mazzani afforded me that opportunity, to create in South Africa, just to really even in that way, even leading up to this very dynamic shoot that we shared. But certainly the actualization of what I felt that was of everything that Mazzani has stood for and what was happening in the industry, which Mazzani sort of led the undercurrent of that, really showed up in that last collection. I will always feel very proud of it.
That was 2019. We're in 2022. And we're still fawning over those images. You and I have, obviously. I mean, thanks to you as well, being the lead stylist for that shoot. But both of our career moments were that moment. So I love that.
Yeah, we've been playing this. I promise to you. I'm not saying this because it's you, but it's just so happens.
I hope not.
I mean, you can't help it. It was you. You were there. We were in our history. There's some overlapping, and
there is
just like that.
There is. All right, boundaries. How important are boundaries to you? Can you share some examples of any boundaries that you have?
Oh, yes. Boundaries are more and more every day. And as I speak to like unlearning the yes. Just, creating boundaries around that. No, I need time to just do nothing. I used to feel so guilty about that. Like, because we're never really doing nothing. Because even when we're not doing nothing, we're meditating, we're resting.
Yeah. Working out, taking a walk.
We're daydreaming. Like, and that's why it's so important. Like, I'm feeling like, oh my God, I feel worthy. I feel worthy of having time to daydream. Right? So boundaries are so important to me right now, and I am, enacting them and putting them up without apology. Before, I always felt guilty. I feel so every day that passes, every day that I get older, I feel less and less guilty about those boundaries, because all we have is this life. That's it.
Yeah.
This is it. There's no there's no remix. There's no remix to this. And the fact that I'm at this age just now learning so much about myself in some way is wild and inexcusable. And I pray that that isn't the type of conditioning that the next generation sort of puts upon themselves. But that is by use of clear boundaries, being able to communicate with love, being able to try to communicate it clearly, but also letting someone's interpretation of your no be their work. Because there's times in the past where someone has told me no, and I was butthurt.
Yeah.
I felt shaded. I felt let down. I felt da 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 da. And you know what? That my reaction to their no was my work.
That's your work. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yes, so I have to give that. You give it with love. You give the boundary. You give the parameters with love, and really their response to it is their work.
Yeah. Oof, that's a good one. So, like, how do you know when it's time for you to just disconnect from it all?
How do I know? Say that again.
How do you know when it's time for you, Pekela, to disconnect from everything and just, not engage, maybe not be on social media, get real strong with the boundaries?
I start to feel depressed. I can start to feel very anxious, and I can feel depressed. I can feel a multitude of things in a very short period of time. I'm very in tune now with my nervous system. I need some coffee. I'm tired as hell. I just need some coffee. Or we just sort of patch it until we're just kind of,
Yeah.
But I don't do that anymore. I just allow myself to sort of feel it without numbing or fixing. And when I start to feel, honestly, depressed is when I know. So that used to be a taboo thing. Like, of course, you're like, who wants to deal with people who can feel depressed? But no, when I start to feel down or depressed, that's how I know. Because as soon as I unplug and just kind of get out in the sun a bit and just go to mindless yard sales with my husband, or let's just kind of go and look for plants, all of a sudden I'm just kind of back, and then I'm like smoking for just weeks, just killing it. But I have to check out to do it because I feel that we're just whole human beings, and when we don't allow ourselves to sort of daydream and just be, we almost drown a part of ourselves. And I think that aching and that jitteriness or that depression that we feel, it's literally a portion of us almost drowning. That's why you start to not be able to focus, because there's a part of you that's being denied.
I feel like you are someone who values self-care moments, right? Like, just based on what I know about you, what you just said, your IG content, what is your favorite self-care moment? Like, when you're low or maybe depressed or needing to check out, like, what do you do for yourself?
Oh my goodness. I sit out on the back porch, just like a sun chair, and listen to books. Sometimes it involves me getting really, really dirty. I love to plant and just like,
me too.
I love my plants. Oh, that's so good. And
it is.
I know. I go to the spa quite a bit. I love touch. I don't think we are, as human beings, experience touch enough. And I think if you get massages, you know that. As soon as you get a massage, you're like, I need to. Why is this the best thing ever? So,
girl, I have my appointment tomorrow booked.
Yes, if you follow me on IG and you kind of know me, you know that those spa days are gonna come. I love them. They are almost ritual. But sun, not having a schedule.
Oof,
and
that's a good one. That's a good one.
That's how I come back. That's how
That's how you bounce back.
That's my gas. That's my fuel. It's just like, I need a clear schedule. I need to feel the sun in the air, and I need touch. I need hugs and massage and oil on my scalp, or just touch.
When do you feel the most beautiful?
I feel most beautiful in the sun, at the water.
Okay.
When I'm allowing myself to be fully vulnerable. Like, I feel really pretty right now because I've decided to show up in this moment without a filter. And so that just kind of feels good. It just reminds me of not kind of not having on shoes, just having on flip flops, or just being in the sun. It just feels free. So sometimes we can create those parallel feelings when we just really like, you know what, I'm just gonna let it be. I'm just gonna wiggle and share and be. Yeah. So when I'm just not overthinking it, I just feel better.
Are there any beauty rituals that you grew up with that you still do today?
Oh, wow. I have such sensitive skin. So surprisingly, I don't have a lot that I actually do. I think that is part of the beauty ritual, is that I don't typically do a lot. People may scream at me. I still will use, coconut oil to take makeup off. I know.
It doesn't clog your skin. I mean, if it doesn't, then it works for you. But
so, for example, now it can get that way. Now I have to use other things, certainly when I'm traveling and being a lot of face forward. But lately, because I've sort of kind of been in a little chill mode, I might put on makeup every 10 days.
Sure.
So right now I have that, I can afford to do that.
Okay,
but
got it.
In general, most days lately, since the pandemic, most days I have a lip. I literally, my glasses, these are my actual glasses are shades. So I actually really wear glasses. I'm not always being that cool. But most of the shades that you see there are prescription glasses. So I typically just put on a lip, and I'm able to kind of steam my face. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I would say
minimalism.
That anything that's helped me the most is diet. I can clearly tell when I'm eating well and when I'm not. Being a woman of a certain age, I'm starting to have these huge hormonal changes and things that are happening. So that's actually been a battle, but when I'm really mindful about how I eat, it totally affects my appearance. Anything from, this kind of 10-pound range that I go back and forth with, to the texture of my skin. It really is about, for me, the way I eat.
So I feel like I'm probably wrong, because that's always the way that it happens, but I feel like I know what the answer to this question will be. But if you are in a rush, you've only got 15 minutes to get ready, are you prioritizing makeup or hair?
Hair.
Yes.
Because I feel like I'm going to throw my shades on and then get a gloss, and there we go.
And then you're good to go. Exactly. And especially you being the founder of True and Pure Texture, you probably have you definitely have some incredibly cut and shaped units that you can just pick out and help you win back a few minutes from those 15 minutes. So I think
having hair extensions do have those moments when it's kind of
it does.
Because honestly, I feel like my hair was my previous style was good until I went 4 miles this morning. I went 4 miles this morning, and I got home and I was like, and I had to go to the bank, and no longer was cool. So having, units that are brown allow me to sort of be ready. It's let me put on this shirt. Okay, let me put on this hair.
Yes, exactly. All right. So what's coming up for you? Are there any projects? Is there anything that my listeners should be looking out for as it pertains to you or True and Pure Texture, or anything that you're working on?
Well, what we're working on, we're really just with the brand, we are really just honing into the needs of our customers. So, something as simple as these really informative care guides with the products, product care guides for the texture types. I'm really excited about just educating our customer and knowing and learning how to support them better. Like, what is the information that they need? So that's what you're going to see evolve and really come out from True and Pure Texture. It's really not only being like where you can get the hair from, but where you can learn about your hair and how to do things, right? So I'm really excited how we're going to roll out those things. And then me as an entrepreneur, just kind of bracing myself for this, last quarter and rolling out the holidays and really just, planning to be more of almost like a big sister to our customer base in 2023. That's my goal right now. It's like, how does it feel like your sister? How do you feel like you can, the best advice is going to come from us.
Got it. And where can my listeners find out more about you or True and Pure Texture?
Yeah, so you can find True and Pure Texture at trueandpuretexture.com. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram. That's where all the excitement is happening. We are on, of course, Facebook and Pinterest, but trueandpuretexture.com, True and Pure Texture on IG, same handle on YouTube. And then you can find me at Pekela Riley on IG, as well as PekelaRiley.com.
Guys, honestly, please do, after you've listened to this podcast, go follow True and Pure Texture, because I tell you, their content is amazing. The content is so on point. If you're trying to figure out, should I get clip-ins? Should I get tape-ins? Should I get a wig unit? Should I get the true part? What's the difference between, it's all there, and it's all what I call snackable content. It's short, it's sharp, it's straight to the point. Honestly, check it out. I think that you'll find a whole bunch of educational resources there that's produced in a fun and loving way. All right, PK, one word to capture how you're feeling right now at the end of this episode.
Connected.
Yeah. Connected right now with you, my friend.
Yes. I don't feel like, and I say that because sometimes as women and in our journeys, we feel alone. We feel on an island. Yeah. And conversations like this, platforms like the Texture Lounge allow us to sort of sit on the sofa with others, and we feel connected to this community of women who are just, walking their path and sharing their journey. So I thank you for allowing me to be in this moment in your journey.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Pekela. What you guys don't know is that Pekela and I did record an interview actually at that 2019 Mazzani shoot that we were talking about. And of course, it was in New York and the windows were open and all you could hear was the soundtrack of New York. So I could never put it out because you wouldn't have heard a word from either of us. But I'm just so happy that I felt like I could approach Pekela again and say, look, I want to do it again. It's years later. We're both in different stages of our lives now, and I want to share her with you guys. So I thank you, Pekela, for being here on this virtual lounge with me. And I will always continue to support you and love the work that you do. So please, let's continue to stay connected.
Yes, absolutely. Likewise to me. Thank you for having me.